Okay. Well, we are going to record today's meeting for the sake of those who can't join us today. We'll be able to send them the content of this, I guess, a seminar, for lack of better words. But we are excited to talk to you today about how we are going to work to get everyone back in person. Couple quick notes before we do that. If you weren't aware or you missed the emails, and Bev, you can go to the next slide. Shelby Schultz, who was our program director at Enjoy Rosecrans, her last day as the director was Friday. She is taking a step back to do some personal life things and pursue some new opportunities. She is still with Enjoy at the moment, so she's helping us through this time of transition. So you may still get emails from her or letters from her. She's helping in our office, so kind of the backside of things. So you may still see her around or talk to her on the phone. But I just wanted to remind you all, if you don't have our phone numbers, Beverly is the site director at Artesia. Right now, she's your primary contact for either location. Okay, so you can contact Beverly first for just main things. Her number is listed there. I'm always still available. My phone number is there as well. And we are overseeing both locations together at the moment. We are actively looking for a program director. And if you didn't know that, Din's drawing all over our slides. I love it. I love the interaction, Din. If you didn't know that we are looking for a program director, but you think, oh, I know someone who would be a great fit for Enjoy, please send them our way. So we've been doing interviews. We have a couple candidates we do really like, but we're taking our time. We really want to make sure it's a good fit. So that's also available still. If you know someone, please refer them. You guys know what we're looking for and the quality of that kind of person we want to have in that position. So that is in process for now. Please contact Beverly first or myself if you couldn't get a hold of her. We are always available. So that said, we wanted to thank you. Last time you guys met, I wasn't quite back from maternity leave, but we talked about starting the process of in-person services, and that has begun. Those of you on this Zoom may not have started in person, but we have a couple members that we've been working with, and we're working through that list of our members that first were not at all engaged on Zoom and had no remote services. So that was our priority, to start getting those members back in person. That is already happening. To do that required a lot of adjustment. So we switched the Zoom schedules. We made sure that you were only coming in morning or afternoon, things like that. And I just want to say personally, thank you for the adjustment. I know that was difficult. And it meant a little bit of a reduction in services. What that allowed us to do was mobilize our staff to really get ready for bringing everyone back. It is still going to be a slow process because we want to make sure that as people are reintegrated, they are safe and that the services they receive in person are effective, that they're not just, as Enjoy would say, we don't want to babysit. We're not here to do that. We're here to push each other to grow. We're here to be in our community and to gain independence in our lives. So that is why it's going to be still a slow process, but we are making it happen starting this month. And so Beverly is going to be sharing a lot of information today, which is also why we're recording it, to talk to you guys all about what it's going to look like for each of you if you are interested to return to in-person services. We will maintain remote services for as long as possible and as long as needed. So there are members right now who still don't want in-person services, or maybe are not capable of coming in person due to health reasons. So we have the benefit of being able to do both. So it will still be hybrid for everybody. We are not quite back to the stage of being in person every day, but Beverly is going to talk about all of that and review all of those things. So a couple quick notes about running this meeting. You may type questions if you have questions in the chat. So on your screen, if you're not as familiar with Zoom, somewhere either at the top or the bottom, depending on what kind of device you're using, there's going to be a little message bubble and it's going to say chat. You could click that. It's going to open up a chat window and you can type a question. The questions will go directly to the hosts, myself or Beverly or Josh, who's our host from staff. And we will answer those if they're relevant to the discussion in the moment. We will. Otherwise, we're going to save them for the end, and I'll make sure that we get through as many as we can today. So please use the chat function for now for questions. And then at the end, we will have time for Q&A. So if you don't want to type one, you can just save your question until the end, but we'd really like to get through all of the material first before we actually pause for questions, okay? So members, I know you were going to be having tons of questions about parties and coaches and who's going to be there and the time frame, all that. So please save it. We will talk through things at the end. We'll let Beverly just share the kind of overview first. Okay. Did I miss anything, Beverly? Okay, well, thank you again. It's really nice to see you guys. We're so glad that you're here and you're making time. We will for sure be done by 11:30, like normal Zoom time. We'll try to get done a little earlier than that if we can. And we do appreciate you being here. It will be, this alone will be a step towards getting in person. So your time here is not being wasted. It is a step towards that. So thanks. All right, we're going to keep everyone on mute and please type your questions and we'll get started.
All righty. Thank you, Amy. So what I want to do is get us started with understanding what the process is behind scheduling everybody to come back on site, just so we understand each of the different steps that we'd have to follow. And then it allows us to figure out where we're at in terms of the process for everybody. So if I could go to my next slide here. So step one is we just need to make sure you're interested and we need to make sure that the service coordinators know. Harbor has some paperwork and things that they need to follow up on their end. They also just need to make sure that you understand, what you're getting into in terms of coming back to in-person services and just making sure that it's quality programming all the way around. So just making sure that we're in constant communication with them as well. So step one, like I said, is confirming everybody's interest and emailing service coordinators. Step two is where we review the health and wellness agreement. As we all know, COVID has changed the way in which we operate in the world. And so we need to make sure that we're aware of the new health and safety policies that we need to be practicing when we're on site. There's some slight changes. And so it's just making sure everybody's on the same page. Step three would be us scheduling a preview day. You guys coming in on site, being able to see things again, coming in, seeing coaches, getting reacquainted with everything, asking any questions that you have, practicing filling out the health form, practicing wearing a mask, washing your hands, doing all that fun stuff. So really just kind of dipping your toes in the water is essentially what the preview day is about. And when you guys are here, we'll be assessing needs. So figuring out, okay, what kind of goals do we want to start to work on? Do we need to work on some mask wearing goals? Do we need to work on hand washing goals? But also, let's get back into learning to write our names and being able to read and cooking and doing all of the fun stuff. So just really assessing where we're at with each of those things. After that, we'd be able to create an in-person plan. So once we figured out where our needs are, what kind of goals we want to set up, if on-site is a good fit for us, then we're able to work with Grace, our OT, we're able to work with Paul, our behaviorist, even Scott, our music therapist, and being able to develop a really great, well-rounded in-person plan for everybody. And then after that, we should be able to set up some consistent in-person scheduling. We want to make sure that everybody is here. It's got a good fit. We want to make sure coaches and members have a good fit, but we also just want to make sure that we're providing quality programming. We want to make sure that we maintain that enjoy experience. And so just making sure that we're really jumping back into things, but doing it the right way, the enjoy way. And so this will typically happen about 2 weeks or so after the preview day, just to give enough time to really assess where we're at and really put together that in-person plan to schedule and do all of those things. So this is where we're at today. So today we're completing step 2 of the scheduling process. We are going to do the health and wellness agreement. You guys have already jumped to step 2. This is great. We're going to go through all of those details. We're going to figure out where we're at. We're going to go through any questions that you have. And then as Amy mentioned, we've already started the assessment phase with some of our members. And so we're going to continue to do that for the month of December, as well as the month of January. Our hope is to complete the assessment phase by January. So that way we can set up some regular programming at that point. Again, today is that speeding up the process, though. We'll get to go through all of those health and wellness things. So we're already starting it for everybody. So with that, we know that we had to adjust our schedule for Zoom about a couple months ago. We'll be adjusting our schedule again, not necessarily for Zoom, but this is what it's going to look like when we get back to in-person services. We're going to go down to 2 days a week, just so everybody can get used to it. We can work in cohorts. It just allows us to mitigate as much as we possibly can to make sure that we're doing things safely, because that's ultimately what our goal is. So you guys will come back at 2 times a week. And you'll have assigned days each week. So it might be like a Monday, Wednesday, or like a Tuesday, Thursday, or even like a Tuesday, Wednesday. It just kind of depends. We're also coming back at a reduced ratio. So in a lot of the conversations that we've had with Harbor and just in management and stuff as well, we don't want to jump in full force 100%. It's just a lot to manage. It's also, you know, we've been gone for almost 2 years. So we just want to make sure, again, that we're doing things safely. So groups will be about 2 to 3 members and they'll have a coach. And then we'll kind of build from there. But the goal is to come back at a reduced ratio so that way there's a little less to manage. We can get back into that group setting, but also so we could utilize the space on site as well. So we can use the different rooms. So that way we're not feeling crowded, just having more space to do things essentially. And then we're going to be jumping back to 3 hours. It gives us time to do the cleaning, the paperwork, and all of those things now that have been added because of COVID. So our AM session is going to look at 8:30 to 11:30 in the morning, and then our PM session is going to go from 1:30 to 4:30 in the afternoon. Again, that just accounts for sanitizing, cleaning, and things in between. Again, we'll get into that some more. But we're really excited to bump up to this 3 hours in person because then we get to involve transportation services, which I know has been a little bit of a challenge for some of us. So that way, you know, we can include round trip in these types of planning, and that's where the service coordinator and stuff comes in as well. And that way, you know, we get to be here for a significant amount of time, which is what we've all been wanting. We want to get back to. So I'm excited about this. I hope you guys are as well. All right, so we're going to jump into the health and wellness plan. There is a lot of information in here. Some of it is probably review, some of it may be new. Again, we'll have some more questions and things at the end. This is just to make sure that we're all on the same page in terms of what to expect, but also just making sure that we have all the information that we need in order to make the best choices for us and our members. So deciding whether or not, you know, in-person services is a good fit for us or not. This will kind of give us that gauge for it as well. So there are different types of exposure risks. We have a low, some, and a high, right? So low exposure risk is us staying at home, us continuing remote services and only remote services. There's no contact with anybody, right? We're safe at home. So that would be the lowest point of exposure risk. Some exposure risk is us coming back on site, but at a reduced ratio, doing it slowly, you know, working within cohorts, only having twice a week rather than 5 times a week. So really kind of doing it in smaller groups and really trying to mitigate as much of the risk as we possibly can. The highest exposure risk, if we were to come back all 100%, everybody here all at once, doing things exactly the way we did, you know, a couple of years ago. We're not at that point yet, and we want to make sure that we're doing things safely. And so that's why we've decided to go down to that, you know, the reduced ratio, twice a week. So just making sure that we're maintaining and doing things safely. So again, just to review, COVID-19 is still here. It's not going away. So we need to make sure we know how these types of things spread. So just to review, it is spread through talking. So like your little spit particles that come out when you talk sometimes. It happens to all of us, or when you cough or when you sneeze. So it's important to avoid, you know, contact in terms of, that's why we wear masks, making sure that, you know, our spit isn't getting on somebody else. If we're coughing, we're not coughing on other people. And so that's why it's important for us to wear masks, maintain, you know, a significant distance, and just maintaining just safe practices all the way around. And again, just to review the signs and symptoms of COVID, I'm sure we know these things, but it's just helpful to review. Most often you'll see a fever of about 100.4 or higher, cough, usually dry, persistent, chills, fatigue. We've had some instances of people, not here, but just in general, people in the world, loss of taste or smell, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, again, muscle or body aches, nausea, sore throat, congestion, runny nose. Keep in mind, a lot of these symptoms are similar to like flu symptoms and things as well. So you just want to make sure that you're, you know, keeping track of how you're feeling, especially as we start to move into in-person services. It's important for us to understand, you know, I'm not feeling too good today, so it might be a better idea for me to stay home and get a little bit of rest and kind of see what's happening, essentially. So as we talked about before, in terms of people returning or members returning to in-person services, there is a list, right? We can't just do everybody at once. There's got to be a process to it. So again, it's making sure that the members who are coming back on site are interested in coming back on site, but also they're interested and they've agreed to the health and wellness agreement, which is stuff we're talking about today. And as we talked about before, we're trying to meet with those who haven't engaged well with remote services first. We want to make sure that those who have struggled a little bit on Zoom or just, have had a hard time with those things have the space to come in and develop that in-person plan. After that, we want to see the members who have been on Zoom, and we want to incorporate now in-person services into their Zoom schedules, so somewhat of a hybrid schedule, right? And then eventually, as we start to get, stable with those things, we've got some new members that are here as well. We want to make sure that they get to have that enjoy in-person experience as well. And so they would be included in that last phase of members. So again, in order to return, we've got to make sure we check off some boxes. So there's got to be temperature checks. We need to make sure that nobody's coming in running a fever, and we want to make sure that you're checking these types of things at home as well. There's a health screening that you have to fill out. All of our coaches fill out a health screening, myself included. We fill one out when we get here and we fill one out when we leave. And that's just a good body check. How am I feeling? Am I experiencing any symptoms? And if I am, then that's when I know I should stay home. And it'll be the same for you guys, just to make sure that, again, we're just checking in and doing these types of things to, kind of track everything essentially. You'll have to fill one of these out every time you come into the building. I know it can be repetitive, but again, it's just to make sure that we're, checking off all of the boxes and doing things as safely as possible. When we're here on site, we're trying to maintain a 6-foot distance when possible. So again, this is why we're working with a reduced ratio. It allows us to utilize the rooms. It allows us to, have a smaller group in the art room and a smaller group in the exercise room rather than having, lots of crowds and things. But also utilizing the outside as well. So here at Artesia, being able to use the parking lot, blocking off a significant portion of it, putting some canopies, having some outdoor activities, being able to kind of utilize that space as well. When we're here, we're going to be required to wear masks. I know some of us have struggled with this, and that's something that we're going to be practicing, and that's something that we're going to be working on. But ultimately, that's what our goal is, because we find this is going to be the best way to keep everybody as safe as we can, right? So wearing masks is something that we're going to try to do. We also want to make sure that we're sanitizing and washing our hands. Once you guys come into the building for your preview days, you'll notice that there's hand sanitizer everywhere. There's literally like a little dispenser thingy outside of every door. So it's easily accessible to everyone, which is great, because we want to make sure that we're using and practicing those skills. And in terms of wipe downs, like I said, we're going down to the 3 hours per session because we want to make sure we have enough time to clean things, sanitize things, wipe down tables, chairs, handles, light switches, all the fun stuff. We just want to make sure that we're wiping everything down in between sessions. We're going to try to incorporate that into our sessions as well, because I think it's good for all of us to practice those types of skills, but just making sure we're doing that extra wipe down. So this is what our goals are in terms of getting back to in-person services. So again, some more detail on health checks and follow-up. So all members of staff must be free of COVID-19 symptoms before they come on site. If they're experiencing any types of symptoms, we ask that you guys stay home. If you guys end up contracting COVID-19, and this goes for staff as well, those individuals will be expected to isolate at home for about 10 to 14 days. Again, to making sure 72 hours after no fever, without any type of medications. If for any reason a member develops a fever while at program, we'll make sure that to immediately separate that member from the other members. We have an isolation room here, essentially. It's like one of the back rooms. And just making sure that we tend to them, but also we're going to call home, and we expect family and care providers to be notified and to pick up their member within an hour of being notified. Speed is important in these types of things. We want to make sure that we're not, one, obviously our member's not feeling well, so why are they going to want to sit here? And two, we just want to make sure that we're keeping everybody safe. So this is why we're kind of going back to that isolation room type of idea. Staff will not be transporting any type of members exhibiting any type of COVID-19 symptoms. I know in the past we've taken some members home when they're not feeling well, or if they've had a rough day or what have you. But if anybody is experiencing any type of COVID-19 symptoms, it will be the home or family that will be expected to come and pick them up. Again, we just want to keep everybody safe. Let's talk a little bit more about face masks. So you guys know we wear them all the time. I have like a cloth one. Here on site, we have some of the surgical ones, which are like the blue and white ones that we typically see. So again, our goal is for everybody to wear masks at all times when they're inside the building. When we work outside of the building, that's when we have a chance to take our mask off, have a mask break, because it's safer outside, it gives us more space. But our goal is for everybody to wear one while they're here. That's something that we're going to be working on. We recognize that not everybody's going to be able to do that right away. And so that will be something that we'll work towards, whether it's setting up goals to work on these things or what have you. But if we get to a point where we find that we can't wear one, we may need to have a discussion about discontinuing in-person services for the meantime while we practice these things at home. The same can be said for hand washing. We just want to make sure that these types of skills, we're given the chance and the opportunity to practice these things on site. But ultimately, our goal is that we start to kind of master some of these basics so that way we can do things safely when we're at program. And that way we can begin to kind of include more and more members. We have masks on site, like I said. We'll have up to 2 masks for each member. I would prefer that each of you bring in your own masks. I know that some of you have some of your favorites. There's some really cool designs out there now. So just making sure that each of the members are bringing in their own masks and that they're responsible for them, they're wearing them properly. But if for some reason something happens to one of the masks, we do have some here, so we can go ahead and replace that. Like to talk about, we want to make sure that we're practicing hand washing as well. So just making sure that we're practicing, using hand sanitizer as we leave and enter a room, making sure we're washing our hands after we've used the restroom or while we're cooking or what have you. So just making sure that we're staying as clean as possible to avoid any type of transfer of germs. Members will continue to bring items to programs, so they will continue to bring their own snacks and lunches. They're encouraged to bring their own water bottles, and the coaches will help them fill up their water bottles just to make sure that there's no, transfer in terms of those things. And we're trying to condense the amount of stuff we bring into program. I know a few of us like to carry more than one bag, but trying to kind of condense it down to one bag, enough to kind of fit into your locker, essentially, is what we're going for. Like I mentioned, you guys will have a health check screening form that'll be sent to you the day before you come on site. These are some of the, the questions that you may be asked. Again, it's just checking in. Are you feeling a fever? Have you taken your temperature? Do you have a runny nose? Are you not feeling well? Do you have a headache? Just kind of keeping track of any of those symptoms that you might be feeling, because if you're checking a yes on one of these, we want to make sure that you're staying home and getting the rest that you need and staying safe. And we want to make sure that all of our members and coaches on site are also being safe. So it's just a really good self-check at that point. So what will Enjoy do to create a safe facility? We've got some steps in place, and we want your guys' help to make sure that we maintain these things. We want to have everybody hold one another accountable. Like I said, we're going to be doing temperature checks. So when you guys get here on site, you're not going to be able to just kind of walk into the building. You're going to have to pause at the door. Your coach is going to check you in, ask you some questions. How are you feeling today? Are you feeling any signs or symptoms? And then they're going to take your temperature with a thermometer that goes up to your forehead. And then just keeping track of those things. If we notice that you're running a little hot, we'll give you a few minutes and then we'll take a temperature again. But if it persists, that's when we're going to call home. Sometimes when it's hot outside, obviously your body runs a little bit hotter. So sometimes it takes a little bit of time. But that's what it'll look like when you guys get on site. Like I mentioned as well, PPE and masks are available. So in terms of PPE, we have surgical masks. We also have N95s if we need them. We have gowns, we have gloves, we have all the good stuff. So if something were to happen, we have all of that in preparation. And it's easily accessible, so the coaches know where it's at. Again, if a member loses a mask or needs a face shield or something along those lines, we have a lot of that stuff here already. So that way we can provide it to you guys just to make sure that you feel safe about the things that you're doing. Cleaning and disinfecting is going to be our #1 thing that we do together from this point on. We want to make sure that we're consistent and we want to make sure that we're thorough. We want to make sure that we're cleaning down everything. So Myself, I've already built out a routine. When I leave the office, I've got to wipe down my desk, I wipe down the chair, I wipe down the doorknob, my light switch. There's a whole process to it. I really think through, okay, did I touch my stapler today? Just making sure that we're wiping those types of things down to make sure that we're not transferring anything. Again, I want to incorporate this into our group activities and just kind of make it routine based in terms of, oh yeah, I'm done with this, so I'm going to wipe it down type of situation. So just making sure that we're practicing those types of skills. Again, we're dropping down to that 3 hours so that way our coaches have time to clean and disinfect in between sessions as well, just to give it a good deep clean in between. Social distancing and communal items. So again, we want to practice social distancing to the best of our ability. This is why we're going down to that reduced ratio. It allows us to utilize the rooms. It allows us to work in smaller groups in those rooms, but also it allows us to use the outside space and just kind of spread out a little bit more just because it's safer that way. I know we have a lot of items that we share, so we're going to have pre-assigned kind of bags or boxes of things. So that way we're not sharing too many things. We just want to make sure like this is Sunny's set of markers and this is Wesley's set of markers, and being able to kind of designate the two. So that way, one, they know which markers are theirs, but two, it's only Wesley that uses those, and being able to kind of, again, just kind of control as much as we can. And like I said, just consistent routines in terms of social distancing, recognizing when we need to give one another space, recognizing when there are too many people in a room, recognizing when it's a good time to go outside, just making sure that we're building those types of things into our routine. Meals and breaks, snacks. Everybody loves snack time. I love snack time. You love snack time. Snack time will still happen. So we'll make sure that you guys continue to bring your snacks, and we will have designated snack spaces. Again, making sure that we spread out across the building as much as possible, even utilizing the outside space as long as it's like not 30 degrees and raining. It's California, you never know, it could happen. So just making sure that we're utilizing those things. We want to make sure that we continue to practice those, snack time goals. And so this is why we want to continue this. And you guys are going to be here for 3 hours. Sometimes we need a snack. So just making sure that we're doing that. So that is the end of the health and wellness agreement. I know it's a lot of information. So if you guys have any questions, I'm sure some of you had already filled them out in the chat, so we'll get to those right now. But just so you guys know, you guys do have to sign this form because I need to make sure that you understood it, you read through it one more time, and then you're good to go and you feel good about it in terms of us coming back on site. So one will be sent to you. It'll be sent through HelloSign, which is really nice because it's just like a digital signature. So just keep an eye out for that email for you to sign your health and wellness agreement. And then preview days. So our goal is to have those 30-minute spaces for you guys to come on site, to be able to practice, to be able to see things, touch things, do all the good stuff again. So there will be another link that'll be sent out where you'll be able to kind of pick out a time in the day that works best for you to come on site, come see your coaches, come get reacquainted with things, and really just really start that process of us putting together that consistent schedule for you. So there will be a couple emails that will go out today. So just keep an eye out for those types of things. Cool. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing so I can see everybody's faces now. Beautiful, beautiful. Amy, I'm not sure if you've got some questions, so if you want to get us started, that'd be great.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Beverly. I'll go ahead and answer some of the questions, and there's not a ton, so if you have more, you can chat them, or I'll take questions in a second. Let me start with the ones that were already sent to me. If you want to, there's a feature as well I forgot to tell you about, raising your hand, and it's under reactions. There's a smiley face, and you can click the smiley face, and then it has like thumbs up, hand raise, things like that. So if you also would like to ask a question that way, find your menu bar either at the top or bottom, hit the smiley face, and then select your hand raising feature. That said, thank you guys for being here again. It's a lot of information, so I'm going to recap really quick, and some of that address some of the questions you guys asked. So we are beginning in-person services 2 days a week, 3 hours on the days you come in person, and that will be opposite of Zoom sessions. So we will keep having Zoom every day at the normal times, and you may attend Zoom on the days you're not here in person. So we're doing that on purpose. again, to keep our ratios smaller, our distancing possible, but also because we need to take time to make sure that everyone reintegrates successfully back into program before we increase days. So we'll be hybrid for everyone. If you don't come in person 2 days a week, there will still be Zoom every day for you. So the online Zoom at this point in time is not changing. It's staying 5 days a week. You may participate in Zoom as you are interested. And then you may also additionally attend 2 days a week for 3 hours on those days. Okay. There'll be consistent days. It won't be like you pick and choose your days. We want to have some consistency of you're here Monday, Wednesdays, or Monday, Thursdays, something like that. Okay. So it'll be hybrid for everybody that's interested in person. You don't have to attend Zoom anymore if you don't want to. Again, you can choose what is the best fit for you. Okay. We will not keep this hybrid model forever. We will be trying to get back to 5 days a week in person for everybody. And we will also be trying to get back to 4 hours a day, 5 days a week for everybody. But that's going to be a slow transition. Again, we really want to make sure that we're taking precautions, but also all of us have been home for 1.5 years, and we might need to relearn some of our skills for being in a communal setting, right? In the community-based programming. So social skills, safety skills, communication skills. So we don't want to rush it so fast that members are not successful or are having a negative experience in our setting. Okay, so we're going to slowly get back to that someday. We will do that again. I don't know the timeline on that. We keep telling our staff we're going to give you the answers we know, and we're going to keep asking questions because there's a lot of questions that come with this and relearning what life looks like now post-COVID. Well, post-COVID. COVID's never going away. So that is what the hybrid model looks like. I know there were questions about that. Also, just a quick clarification, your preview day, we're using day very loosely. It's only a 30-minute, maybe an hour visit, okay? So when you sign up to come for your preview day, it's specifically just to orient yourself to the facility, again, to the staff, to how things are set up now. We're going to practice some of those health and safety skills to get an understanding of where you might need support or what you can do for yourself. And then we'll talk about what goals would be helpful. We might review any questions you have about what do I need to bring and things like that. Okay. We'll have even activities out that you could do something with your coach. So it's just a 30-minute, kind of like the initial tour you took of Enjoy. We're essentially retouring each of you to get a new idea of what services should look like for you. So when you sign up for your preview day, it's just a 30-minute sign up. The link will be sent via email. It's really easy. You're going to click a time and it's going to tell us you're coming, and we'll confirm with you, but you'll get an email. We do want the family or the home to be at the preview day. Okay. That's a great question. So you'll be coming like, again, you did when you first started at Enjoy enrollment. You had to tour with your parent or your home staff. We want you both to be there so that we can make sure that the tour is successful and you understand what's needed and we understand what's needed. As a note with that, if you have not completed your annual physical, one of the things we will need to have you back in person is a complete and updated annual physical form. So if you've lost that, I know our nurse sent them out this summer again. If you need another copy or anything like that, we will be following up, but you can also reach out to me or Beverly and you can ask for that, because that will be something we need as well to understand your current medical and health needs. So preview days are 30-minute tour. Also, we only are offering 3 days right now. If none of those days work for you, do not worry. We will schedule with you another time. What we're trying to do, both in leading today's session as well as scheduling those preview days, is just get as many people scheduled as possible and as many people complete on the health and wellness agreement and the changes to programming, so that we can move as many people forward to the next step, which is scheduling regular 2 days a week in-person services. So this is just our way of getting to each of you. But if you can't attend one of those preview days, don't worry, we will be in contact with you. We can set up a different time for you to come by for your 30-minute to an hour preview that works for you. Okay. And like I said, we're doing this assessment for this month as well as January. So if it works better to come after the holidays or something like that, we can do that. Okay. So the link that's coming to you, if none of the days or times work for you, don't worry. Whoever doesn't sign up, we will create more preview days or we'll just contact you directly. Okay. Another question was regarding the vaccines. Is the proof of vaccine required for members? Let me back up and say, if you did not hear first, that for staff members, it is now required for our staff to have proof of vaccination to be employed at Enjoy, with the exception of if they have a religious or medical exemption. So that's the new LA County basically law for every establishment for the most part, but especially within licensing's, community care licensing's jurisdiction, they are requiring that for all staff. So that is something our staff have had to be in compliance now as of November 30th. Licensing has not placed that requirement for members. Okay, so members are not required to have a vaccine. What is required to maximize safety is the masking, the social distancing, and if we need to provide for any other additional layers of safety on a case-by-case basis, like we may determine as a team with Harbor and with you that being outdoors is preferable, or being in a smaller group setting is preferable, right? So all the safety for members will be at a case-by-case basis. However, if your member is vaccinated, licensing does like to have that on file. And I have been told that when they're coming for their visits, which licensing is very involved right now with facilities reopening to in-person services, they're coming through and doing what they're calling mitigation checks to see that we're mitigating everything that we possibly can to reduce the risks of COVID transfer within a facility. They are requesting proof of that vaccination in the member's file if they have it. So that may be a document, if you have, that would be nice to keep on file here, because they are asking for it. But again, it is not required for members to be vaccinated to attend in-person services. And Enjoy will not discriminate in-person services based just on vaccine. Okay, so we're going to talk about what it looks like to be safe for everybody, members and staff included, when they're receiving in-person services. And that will be a case-by-case basis, depending on what your specific needs are. Okay. Masking, just as a reminder, is a requirement in LA County for anyone, no matter whether you're vaccinated or not vaccinated. And so we will be upholding that for our indoor activities. That's why we will provide for outdoor breaks, so we can have mask breaks as needed. And we'll be working towards that if it's a difficulty for you to wear your mask. That's something important, though, to know. When we start, we are not yet going to start being in the community. So when you come for your 2 days a week in person, you will just be at Enjoy's building for now. We will eventually get back to going on community-based trips. Again, we're taking it one thing at a time. But please know, especially if the outings are in LA County, there are a lot of establishments requiring, of course, masks for those visits to those establishments, as well as even vaccination proof. So that may become a challenge that we'll navigate as we go in the community. And that is not something we're ready yet to do. And things will probably change before we actually are ready to do that. But please keep that in mind. If you live in LA County, you're probably already aware of that. But that is a current requirement for LA County safety with Department of Public Health. Brenda, I see your hand and I will get to you. I think I have one more question on here that was already sent, and then I will answer your question. I actually might have answered it all. Okay, actually I did. So Brenda, what is your question?
Okay, so if someone shows symptoms or tests positive, how long before families are notified? And when we're notified, are we supposed to keep our member quarantined just in case of exposure?
Great question. Yes, this is, I will answer this, and just to reassure you, everything we talked about is going to be typed out in that health and wellness agreement. So if what I say is forgotten, don't worry. You can look at it there as well. Enjoy will notify anyone who was considered exposed to an individual with COVID-19 positive results, or a doctor says, yes, you have COVID-19, and then we're informed of that. Everyone who is exposed or in close contact to that individual will be notified as soon as we know, whether it's a weekend, an evening. So that's why you need to have Beverly and my phone numbers, especially, but please let us know right away that your member or if a staff person tests positive, they are required to tell us right away. What qualifies as close contact for the Department of Public Health is within 6 feet, so closer than 6 feet together, for a cumulative amount of 15 minutes. So if you just check in with the person at the front door and then you go to your own room and you don't ever interact with that person again, you will not be considered exposed. If you're in the group with that individual and you spend all day in the same group, in the same room, you will be considered exposed. So that's part of why we're trying to have cohorts, is what we're calling it, where these people, it's a reduced number, only come, Monday, Wednesdays, or Tuesday, Fridays, whatever it is, so that we're limiting, if there was an exposure incident, how many people were actually exposed. We will also be having groups stay within their group setting. So we're not mingling groups together as much as possible. But within our building, you guys all know we have a shared restroom, we have a shared kitchen. So you will be around multiple people. So if your member is exposed or to a staff or another member positive for COVID-19, we will not release the name of that individual who's positive for COVID-19 out of privacy and protection for them, of course. What we will tell the individuals exposed is, hey, you were possibly exposed based on the day and time that you were there and where you were. And so then whether or not you need to be tested and all that has to do with vaccines. And that's a little bit case by case per the CDC, but we will let you know that you've been exposed, and to either if you need to get tested or if you're vaccinated, what you need to do and what that looks like. Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does. One more.
Okay. Yeah.
When we're in the group, are we practicing social distancing, or is that not going to be possible?
Ideally, yes. We are going to encourage that as much as we can. And that's why we're having a reduced number on site as well, so that in the rooms themselves, members can be spread out. I say that, and you all know members, if they are, trying to hug each other, or they're coming up and, pointing at your teeth, the Hulk, right? So there's going to be these moments where our members are we're not going to spend all day like, oh, don't go that close, don't go that close. We need it to be a successful experience, but we are going to do our best within our power to practice social distancing and try to make that fun too, for members. So that is the goal. Wherever possible, we will social distance, okay? And we have like capacity limits written on the outside of every door so that we know, coaches know, okay, only 3 people in here, or this room is big enough for 6 people, things like that. And that's why we're doing those reduced groups. So that's the goal, is that it would be reduced. Again, also, if your member needs personal care, of course, our staff are going to have to be in their personal space, right? So we are still going to provide the service required. And that may mean that we have to be within close contact of an individual, whether to prompt them or help them or do restroom changes and things like that. So we will still provide that level of care. But as much as possible, we will be social distancing to eliminate as much exposure as possible. The best thing you can do, it's hard with COVID because people are contagious before they have symptoms, but the best thing you can do is, no matter how small your symptoms are, you just have a slight runny nose or a slight sore throat, stay home, wait a day, see what happens. If it's just a cold or if it turns into something more, that would be the best thing you can do to protect yourself and the other members and staff. Okay, so going back to really taking care of ourselves when we get sick, to stay home. Great questions. Other questions? I have another one in the chat. We do not have testing kits for COVID. The question was, do we provide testing kits for COVID? No. If you are needed to test for COVID, you will have to schedule that through, I know CVS does them for free, and you can pretty much get same-day appointments. Almost any pharmacy, I think, your doctor. So the testing for COVID would have to come through your own, through an outside source. We don't have testing on site. I know some group home facilities have partnerships with testing agencies, but that's not something we currently are required to do, and we don't have that set up to do through Enjoy. Great question. Other questions? Or members, any questions?
You guys excited? A little bit of excitement to come back? Pat, are you excited? I feel like you've been waiting for this.
Monica's excited. I see you, Monica. Nodding your head.
All right, I'm excited too, man. I really, really am. So,
yeah.
May I ask a question, Amy?
Absolutely. Where are you? Ayako, I hear you. Is it Ayako?
yeah. Yes, it is.
Hi.
Transportation is provided by the parents?
Or regional center, if that's something that you had before. So that's part of, once we, the very first thing that we're trying to figure out is, are you interested? And if so, we notify a regional center so they can begin conversations with you to set up transportation. Once your health and wellness is signed and your preview day is complete and we've developed our in-person plan, here's what it's going to look like. Here's the days you want to attend. Then we will also notify Harbor so that they can set up transportation if needed. So it might take them, I don't know what that process looks like or how long it takes them to figure that out. I would assume a couple weeks is usually their usual. So that's why we will let them know, and you can have round trip transportation. So that is possible, or access. If you use access, of course, you can do that. For the preview day for the tour, more than likely you're going to have to transport to just for the visit. It's just a short visit. So that day we might need you to work out transportation if you can. If you cannot, talk to us. We want to make it possible for everyone to get back. So don't let that be the reason you don't start in person. Call Beverly or myself and we'll work out for the preview day to figure out how to get you here or what we can do. But yes, transportation will be set up through Regional Center.
So if you had transportation through Regional Center before, is that automatic or do you have to redo the whole procedure again?
What is the procedure on their end?
On their end before you had to, Becky already had transportation set up.
Right.
So do we have to reapply again?
No, you won't have to reapply.
No,
All we have to do is,
sorry. We've been using
Go ahead,
a round
Bevan.
trip to send out packages and things. So we've been utilizing essentially the service that you've like requested. It's just now we'll be utilizing it to transport Becky to program. So this is why we'll need to start that conversation with the service coordinators as soon as possible as we start this process. So that way they can let round trip know and they can work it into their bus routes and things. But technically we've been utilizing the service, the round trip service. So you shouldn't have to like restart anything. Essentially, the process has already been used, if that makes sense.
Would it be to our benefit to wait until the food services is provided, or do we just go ahead and start utilizing round trip to begin with?
I think
that's your personal choice. I think whatever's going to be easiest for you. They're going to be able to transport just 2 days a week or however often we're coming. So that's something that they can coordinate as far as we've been told. So if they come back to you and say, oh, it's going to be 6 weeks before we could get her on a route, you may want to drive her or something like that. But I'm under the impression from Harbor that they're ready to go and they just need to schedule it and figure out who's driving and picking up, but they are available to do transportation. The thing they requested is that sessions be at least 3 hours so that the bus doesn't have to like drop you off and come back, 30 minutes later to pick you up.
Amy.
So that's why we chose 3 hours.
Hi, Amy.
Hi, how are you, Becky?
Bye.
Good. Okay, other questions?
You?
Andres, are you?
You have a question, Andres?
No.
No.
No, okay, that's all right.
Amy, can I?
Yes. Go ahead. Hi, Mr. Yang. I
Yes.
can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm following on the transportation issue. Is round trip the only transportation provider, or Reliable is still one of them?
That's a great question. I honestly don't know the answer to that. I believe Reliable is still available. I know we were scheduling package delivery through Reliable for the members that attend with Reliable. So Harbor tried to keep every service still functional. Beverly, have you heard at all that Reliable is no longer
What I
transporting?
understand, it's very similar to round trip. So they
Okay,
should be
so-
like ready to go to be transporting members. Again, we've been utilizing the service essentially as we've been dropping off packages and things just to kind of maintain that contract, I guess you could say. And so I would imagine it's the same process as round trip. So again, it's just notifying the service coordinator and then, notifying Reliable and starting that whole process of putting them on a bus route and what have you. So it should be very similar.
Okay, all right, thank you.
No problem. Great question.
Yes. Other questions?
Are we getting all the forms through email?
Yes, the forms
is-
that we went through today.
Mhm.
Everybody will be sent the forms that we went through today through something called Hello Sign. That gives you opportunity to read it and sign it digitally. It's a really easy process, and then you can save it and print it out for yourself as well.
One more question. For those that are fully vaccinated, how do you want us to provide you with a copy of the vaccine record?
You could email me a picture of it, or maybe on your preview day, if you want to bring it with you and I can make a photocopy of it, that works as well.
Okay,
But yeah, both of those forms are acceptable forms through licensing.
okay.
Licensing also accepts the QR code that LA County has put together, where you could have a digital passport. Just so you know, that's also a thing. But in my mind, I think it's a little bit easier to just bring the card and I'll make a photocopy of it for you. Just keep that process simple, you know.
That is easier.
And licensing did come through this summer they're doing, again, mitigation audits where they're checking our COVID protocols and our postings throughout the building and what's set up. And we did pass. And so we're cleared and they have approved our process. But they also may continue to change their requirements. So if they do, we will let everybody know what those changes are and make sure that we're in compliance. But just so you're aware, they are heavily involved with the health and safety. If you're in a group home, you already know that. You've been living that for the last year and a half. But now with day programs, they are coming through and making sure that they're checking in on our mitigation plans and our processes. So if things change, we will definitely let you know when they let us know. Other questions? Caroline, I think, is that your hand? Or Kay, hi. Oh, you gotta unmute, here we go. Let me unmute you. Hi.
I imagine your answer is yes, but I just want to, we previously sent in physical exams and also a copy of her COVID vaccines. You still have that. You don't want it resent, do you?
If you've already sent it, we don't need it again, unless for some reason we didn't get it, if you fax it or something. But I will make sure that we check on that. So we have an online program we're using to monitor everyone's forms are in place, everyone's attended, health and wellness, the preview day. So I'll double check that Caroline's is marked off as complete for the physical and the card. But yeah, if you've already sent it, you don't have to send it again. Was that a question? Sorry.
No, it's Andres' dad in the background. You're good.
Okay. Oh, and Erica is confirming, Caroline, we have your paperwork.
Yay.
Yay.
We love the
Thank you for
speediness of
checking,
our
Erica.
supers. All right.
Yeah. Okay, anything else?
On the physical form for Rebecca that I took in, I assume you guys have it. Because the nurse had requested for it way back several months ago.
Yes, in July. Yeah, we sent them all back out, I think June or July. And so if you brought it back, we have it.
Okay.
I will also double check, but we should have it. That brings up a good reason we're doing the physicals though. If there's been changes in medications, or if your member, I don't know, has a new thing that they might need to take while they were here, that's something we're going to need to know. So that's why we're getting those forms. So if you have not completed your physical, or if you've had changes in your medical needs over the last year and a half, we really need to know that, because we don't want to have you start coming to program and then find out you're supposed to take a medication for seizures at 11 a.m. or something, and we don't have that on site. So just like when you first started program, we need all of that in order. We really need to be sure that we're aware of how to care for you and provide a safe environment for you. So please get those forms to us. Please notify us if you've had changes since you sent us those forms. Please make sure we have any medications available. So we'll talk all about that at your preview day. That's one of those things we'll talk through, but please be working on that. I know with doctors, it can be hard to schedule appointments. So cute.
Chang has a question.
Okay, Mr. Chang.
Yes, Can you check if Ryan Chen has a vaccine record in your office?
I believe he does. I remember Mom dropping it off not too long ago. So I believe I have all of his information.
Thank you. Thank
No
you.
problem.
Mhm. Yeah. And that's something when we do your preview day, we can go through and check off everything we have, or if we're missing anything, we can let you guys know individually when you've scheduled for that date. So you'll get a link, a little thing you click, and then it's going to take you to a calendar, scheduler day, and we can look at that, or we'll call you about a different time if those times don't work. Okay, anything else? We're just at 1 hour. I know you all have a lot to do. Some of you may already have a preview day scheduled because we've been calling you. If you already have a different day scheduled than what we sent, come on the day we scheduled with you because we've kind of got two things going at one time. So if you've already scheduled a preview day, or you've already attended a preview day, if you've already signed the health and wellness agreement, you don't need to do it again. But for all those who have not attended a preview day or reviewed the health and wellness agreement, that's what you'll receive via email. And we want you to sign up and sign that form so that we can move you towards getting back in person. Once those things are complete, you can start in person based on when we have staff available and based on transportation and Harbor's check whatever check boxes they have. I think they're going to call you and just confirm a few things to make sure we can start in-person services. So those are the next steps to do if you want to be back in person. And again, if you don't want to come in person, you like doing the program from home, you're more than welcome to continue Zoom as often as you're interested. For those coming in person, you can still maintain Zoom on the days you're not here in person. Just to recap that.
Yeah, one more question for
Yes.
Ryan. Is any possible you can keep this record, save the record, so the parents can access to the information?
Yeah, we have it all in the member file. And so if you needed it, we could send a copy or email it to you. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, it's another thing for if we need a continuous online service instead of in person, how long does each member take the class? How long? Just like before, or was limited to 3 hours?
As of right now, Zoom will stay the same. So you'll still be on there for an hour and a half for the session. If at any point we need to change that or there's adjustments, we'll be sure to communicate those things well in advance. But as of right now, nothing will change with Zoom, Zoom times or Zoom duration.
If you start to getting testing for the in-person, do we get the information right away? Oh yes, you can bring the Ryan enjoy in person now, or what's the schedule?
Yes.
Do you let the parents know so
Yeah,
they can prepare?
Yeah, we'll let you know with enough time in advance. We want to make sure, we know it's a big routine change. We want to make sure that you have some time to prime, practice, do all of that. So we'll make sure that we give you guys well enough of an advance notice for that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Great questions.
Beverly, the phone number that you have, is it, can we send you text messages?
Yes, you can. Texting is great.
Is that, yeah, the email that you guys have is wrong for me.
Oh no, okay, I will fix that.
Okay.
And maybe we can just put it up again one more time, Beverly, the slide with our numbers.
Give me 1 second.
We can even add our emails to it if we want to. We're at our offices every day now. We've been slowly getting back to being at the office, but there are staff here every day. So you can always call our office numbers as well. Someone should now answer 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Well, Fridays actually we're sometimes not here. So Monday through Thursday, 8 to 5, call the office. We will be there. Fridays, we're still doing reduced days a little bit. But yeah, those are cell phones that we provided to you. And if you haven't participated with Simple Text, for those that like texting, that's one of those easy ways we're trying to contact people too. So you can always respond in those messages and then it gets sent to our phones as well. So if you got a reminder about this event through Simple Text, that always works too. There we are. So those are phone numbers if you don't have it. Do you have any questions?
Amy, I have a question.
Yes.
Can
Hi.
I, can I text a copy of Mara Jean's COVID vaccine in the text?
Yeah, you could send it for
Yes.
text. You just make sure that it's clear and it gets the whole card. But then, yeah, I could upload it into the drive and all of that. That's not a problem.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, no problem.
We like digital. We actually have moved all of our files digital in remote services. So we have a whole system we purchased, a software system to manage our members' needs virtually, since that's what we've been doing for a year and a half. So, okay. You are welcome to keep asking questions, but just to review, the very next step is to sign the health and wellness agreement and to schedule a day to do your assessment, your preview day. After that, we can start talking about when you could come regularly. Okay, so we don't know dates yet until you do those first two steps. So please sign your health and wellness agreement and sign up for a day to come do your on-site assessment, your preview day. And then we'll talk together when you're here about what days you could come and what would the goals be and how would this work, and we'll go from there. But you are welcome to stay. We're here till 11:30. You can ask more questions. But if you guys want to take off, you're also welcome to do that.
Yeah, one more question for Ryan Stack. If we will continue using the online service instead of personal service, do I need to do anything?
No. If you're not interested in in-person services, you can keep doing Zoom. You don't need to sign up for anything or sign the health and wellness agreement. Okay, that's a good question. And so if we don't hear from you on the health and wellness agreement, we'll probably touch base just to confirm that you're not interested, or maybe you just didn't sign it. So we'll touch base with you. As soon as you sign it electronically, it notifies us. So we'll have a list of who has not signed it, and we can confirm that you're not interested. Not anything if you're not interested in coming in person.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Amy, do we need to notify Regional Center that we're interested in in-service and transportation?
That
You
is
don't
what
have to,
will
we
do.
will.
Okay.
We'll do that for you.
We will, but if you want to, it never hurts to tell them twice, but we will be coordinating that.
Okay.
Patrick,
Was
did you
that
have your
Patrick?
hand?
Do you have a question?
Where'd you go?
Are you frozen? Oh,
So you will contact us for the health and the thing. Like, we don't have to contact you and say we're interested in coming back.
No, I'm
No.
gonna send out the form and then you guys will sign it. You'll send it back to me. That's my telltale sign of like, all right, Pat's ready to go. If for whatever reason, in the next couple of days, I don't receive your form, I'll touch base just to make sure. And then we can go from there. But once you send that form back, that's you giving me the green light to move along with the rest of the process.
Okay, so you contact us.
Mhm.
And then like the
and
text.
you'll get a link too.
Okay.
Oh,
And
you'll get a link to sign up for that preview day, so you can just schedule it automatically.
okay.
And that's also a way to let us know.
So the text that came from you guys this morning to remind us, you can reply to those texts?
I think so, right,
I
Beverly?
believe so.
Does it
but
say
if
don't
anything-
reply?
I don't know.
I believe you
I
can.
think you
Should be
can.
able to reply.
I just sent back test.
All right,
find
we'll
out.
look into it. But if anything, you
You
could
get
always text me.
I believe you can reply, and it would just go to the administrator of
The
the
email.
account, which is Beverly and Amy, and
Okay,
they'll be able to. It doesn't go to everybody. It's not like a group text.
Right.
It goes,
Okay.
Right.
goes to the administrator of the account.
okay. Well, I replied test, so if you get
We'll
it,
see.
yes, it does work.
Great, I'll let you know.
Perfect.
Okay.
Jacob, is that you with the question?
Yes.
Hello, hello.
Hi there. Question for you. Do they have the option of doing in person and Zoom, or is it one or the other?
Yes.
No, it'll be a
Both.
hybrid services.
Oh,
Just because
perfect,
in
okay.
person is only twice a week, so we're not trying to drop down to only 2 days. So it'll happen simultaneously.
Okay, I'm
Yep.
sorry. You said it'll happen simultaneously. They
Yeah.
can do both. Okay.
Yep, you can do both.
Okay, perfect.
Caroline,
Thank you.
did you have a question?
Okay.
No? Okay. Great questions, guys. Really great questions.
Jacob Becky said hi.
Right. This
It's
is a
gonna be
ranking
fun to
that
meet all of you
again-
who started in COVID. We've not seen you in person. It's gonna be so fun to be back together.
I mean, great.
Yes, sorry I bother you again.
No,
This is
no,
Ryan
That's okay,
Chen.
Mr. Chang. We're here for you.
Yeah, I'm worried that Ryan may come. He likes to be in person, but I want to monitor if that works out for him. If it doesn't work out, I can go back and forth in the try and error period. That's okay.
Yeah, for the
Yes, that
initial
is
part,
okay.
we don't want to go back and forth too much. We want to, again, our goal is consistency with our members. And so if you guys decide that you want to try in-person services and we give it a few weeks and we realize maybe this isn't the right fit for right now, then we can go back to Zoom services and try in-person again later on down the road. But I would like to, if we're not flip-flopping, each week, I would like to avoid that as much as possible,
Just to do, yeah.
But that's great insight.
Back and forth. Just try it, make sure it works out for him or it doesn't.
Definitely. Yeah. We want to make sure all programming is a great fit for our members. And so we recognize it. We might try it and it might not work. And so we'll kind of have to go back to the drawing board. But
yes.
Yeah, it's not a problem. Any other questions? All righty.
Hey, we'll stop recording, I think.